Hello there. Welcome to my midlife crisis. I mean, my YouTube channel, new project, infant stages, Professor Lady. I'm going to talk about a lot of different topics on this channel, which may seem very divergent, but ultimately they will have to do with society, um, social well being, our mental health, where we're going as a species, stuff like that. So, let me talk about UAPs for a few minutes and this whole drone flap. So, here we are in 2025, and from what I can tell, the drones are still being seen fast and furious in New Jersey, and but they're not in the mainstream news anymore. They're there though. I'm in this Facebook group of 84,000 people. Trust me, they're out there every night. Um, in Dutchess County in the Hudson Valley, where I am, it's hard to tell if it's slowed down the sightings. I think it has. My sources basically were the Nextdoor app and Facebook, the big New Jersey group, but that has it's getting many, many fewer post approvals as of late. So I don't really see a lot of the New York sightings, so it's hard to tell. Um, but just based on the information that I'm getting from people who have met in the Hudson Valley who have had seen the drones, the UAPs, they are still, in fact, sightings are still happening, orbs and drones. So I'm going to continue to map those sightings and I'll talk about that in another video. So, what I wanted to talk about for a few minutes was who do we trust in this whole UAP flap that we're undergoing right now, especially in, I realize it's a lot of states, but I'm right adjacent to New Jersey, in New York State, and it is unreal um, what has occurred over the past 4 weeks. People, again, I'll say it, in November 18th, people didn't just start looking up at the sky and deciding that they were seeing drone like objects and freaking out about them when they were always there. No, I don't think so. Even the FBI, the 5,000 reports that they got, they were able to explain the vast majority. And there will be mistakes, although I question the whole vast majority stat. But they admit that 100 are unknown, and most people are not reporting to the FBI anymore. It's if the FBI is going to say um, the general message is that people are misidentifying stars, planets, and planes. Um, Even if they do know that there are a certain percentage that are unidentified, that's the message that's been put out there, and I wouldn't waste my time staying online on hold, calling the FBI about a sighting. Um, so what I'm trying to do through my efforts, through this channel, through whatever, is emphasize that this needs to be a scientific process at this point. So one small piece of science is mapping the sightings, and you can do that anywhere. And you can watch in my other video. It's under live streams. I clicked that button by mistake. I don't 100% know what I'm doing yet, but I'm learning. I'm learning. Um, I talk about like the different places that you can report a UAP sighting. So who do we trust? I don't think it's foreign. Um, as Trump said, he's not a fan of the Biden administration, but he said even they would blast them out of the sky if they were foreign, even if it was late. Is he going to tell us what it is? He says he knows what it is. It's coming from a garage. All right, where is that garage? Is it down the street from me? The drones are all kept there. Let's see what he has to say. It'll be interesting. But back to who do we trust? I want to recommend one source involved in disclosure as an insider because he was one of the pilots who was seeing these UAP. Ryan Graves is trustworthy, and I highly recommend you listen to what he has to say. So, he's a former Lieutenant U.S. Navy pilot. He's been deployed twice in Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Inherent Resolve. He's been present at Congressional Disclosure Committee hearings. And he has come forward because he's very concerned about UAP causing risk hazards to pilots flying in the airspace where these objects are being seen and where they're having close calls. And so he really wants the government to disclose what's going on to a certain extent. So he certainly wants more safety, greater safety for pilots of all kinds. And they have been slowly, the government in ATIP has been releasing some videos, as you may be aware. Drip, 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 over the past 5 years, some videos of objects that the military has seen. The Tic Tacs, Brian Graves saw a circle within a cube, as he describes it. So he's been so concerned about his fellow pilots in the skies who are encountering these objects and having sometimes near collisions that he founded an organization dedicated to aerospace safety and science. And that's called Americans for Safe Aerospace. And what he's doing is changing the culture around reporting of UAP by pilots, commercial and military, because it used to be highly stigmatized. If you were going to come out and tell your boss and talk about what you had seen while flying, you were highly encouraged not to talk about it if you wanted to keep your job, which is BS, because if you're at risk and your passengers are at risk because of objects near, you coming into close contact and collision with these objects, the government should seriously disclose this, study it, etc. And pilots should certainly, and other airline personnel should certainly feel safe and secure to report these incidents. So this is a great service that he's doing, founding that organization. So here is just a quick clip about Ryan. He first appeared on the History Channel telling his story, and I highly recommend that episode. It's called Unidentified.
Go ahead, let's start from the beginning.
Well, simply put, I don't really know where the beginning is.
In the summer of 2014, Lieutenant Graves was based out of Naval Air Station Oceana in Virginia Beach. Lieutenant Graves says his squadron, the Red Rippers, was running training exercises up and down the East Coast when they started to pick up mysterious radar tracks.
We didn't really think a lot of them other than the fact that maybe they were just a part of the radar itself, not necessarily an actual physical object.
Is there any difference between the aircraft you were flying in 2015 versus what he was flying in 2004?
We had upgraded electronics, radar systems. It's a generational difference. It's a big deal.
Is it?
Okay. Huge increase in capability.
Okay.
The pilots wondered if their new radar system was malfunctioning until they saw one of the unidentified objects up close.
Walk me through that moment. Were you there or was it one of your colleagues?
It was one of my colleagues, so I didn't hear about it until they landed.
Did he give you size, color, texture?
It was basically a cube with inside of sphere where the points of the cube were touching outside of the sphere.
We've got now two different things. You guys got cubes with balls. Around the West Coast, we got flying Tic Tacs.
Cubes with balls and flying Tic Tacs. Something. Government, tell us what the Tic Tacs and the balls and the squares are. The cubes. Important. So Ryan Graves he's very down to earth when he's speaking, but he is brilliant. He is the real deal. I highly recommend you taking in information to learn about this topic. Okay, so some of the things that Ryan Graves has been saying as of late about the drones, and I was very, very much looking forward to hearing what his insights were and inside information, hopefully, was about this drone situation. So something he has said that is fascinating is that these drones, this is the third year they've appeared before Christmas. Are they, the advanced team for Santa Claus? Why are they appearing before Christmas? I don't get it. But in 2022, they appeared over, and 2023, they appeared over military installations, including Langley in Virginia. And the military did not know what they were. Why would they say they don't know what they were if they were their own thing? Or there's different levels of clearance where one hand doesn't know what the other hand's doing in the military. I don't know. It doesn't sound plausible to me that all these things would be flying over and that the base commanders would say, we don't know what it is, but it doesn't seem to be a threat. So anyway, they were expecting the drones to come back in 2024, and they did, but they came back to visit New Jersey and Mass and New York and some other states. So there is this pattern of them coming in December. So weird. What is that about? And they were actually prepared to study them in 2024, expecting them to come back over military installations. I highly recommend his social media appearances where you can get his full insights and perspective on disclosure and why it's important. But just a little bit more about the drones. I encourage you just to hear it from him directly. He does not believe they're looking for WMD because a certain unit would be deployed to do that, and he knows these folks, and they have not been. But they can pick them up on radar, but they don't have a heat signature, and they can't figure out how they talk to each other. The drones, they can't figure out. They can't detect the frequencies. There's something very bizarre about these objects, and I might add also sheriffs a sheriff, probably more than one, in New Jersey have tried to follow them, chase them with their own drones, and their drones cannot keep up with them. They can't catch them. So there's something very bizarre about these objects because they should be emitting a heat signature, but they're not. But please look up Ryan Graves and learn about what he has to say about the drones, UAP, and disclosure. He generally feels it's going to be very beneficial to this country to have disclosure, not full disclosure, because the government has to keep certain things secret. That's understood, to protect technological advances that are critical to our defense. If UAP are crashing, if we have pieces of them, parts of them, and we're learning how they work, learning the technology, we are going to want to have that before adversaries, because whoever develops this technology is going to be superior. So it's a very important, I think, to keep certain parts of this closed. to keep it a secret from the public. But like Ryan Graves says, the core idea that we're not alone, and that NHI, non-human intelligence, has visited, um, is important to convey to the American people. And he and Lou Elizondo seem to be lobbying to be part of Trump's not administration, but to be part of a special project effort towards disclosure. I hope they do work for the next administration and that they do accomplish what they want to do, which is further disclosure, not disclosing everything, obviously, but Ryan Graves feels it's very important for science, technology, engineering. It will revitalize our whole field. We need to stay ahead of the curve of other societies in developing these technologies, and they're new technologies, right? Because UAP display one of these 6 characteristics that make them very different from what we have today, such as extreme speed, transmedium capabilities, meaning they can go from water seamlessly from water to the air, and other strange characteristics. You can learn all about that. There's a certain terminology, but there's six I think characteristics of UAP, as Elizondo and Graves and others talk about. So yes, please look up his social media appearances and other appearances and read up on Ryan Graves and what he has to say. Another resource I want to recommend is the Tedesco brothers, which I had mentioned in a previous video, but I didn't have the right name of they have a podcast, but they're brothers from Long Island, and they're studying essentially UAP off of Long Island. They did a special study at Robert Moses State Park Beach, but they generally study UAP, I think mostly on Long Island. Again, so down to earth with their information. They explain it well. These people are not Graves, Tedesco brothers, and they're not trying to get attention for themselves. They are not all show and no substance. They're just, you feel very trusting of their information as they share it. So the Tedesco brothers did this special project where they studied orbs and lights, UAP, over the south shore of Long Island in New York, Robert Moses State Park. And I want to mention, too, that just last week, a small airport on Long Island closed their airspace to drones because there was so much traffic. Even on News Nation, Ross Coulthart is saying, in light of this Long Island news too, these drones, these objects are creating a hazard. And that's what Ryan Graves gets into. You know, this subject gets mixed into, oh, it's the little green man, and oh, you're so weird, and like, you're so stupid. How can you believe these childish fantasies? And how can you believe science fiction? And how could you believe what you see with your own eyes, right? But there's the issue of there is something. We don't know who owns the drones, if they're drones, whatever, but they're creating a safety hazard, is what Ross Coulthart is saying, like a real safety hazard. And the drone no-fly zone over New Jersey expanded. They're doing this, Long Island, New Jersey, but the objects are still appearing. So that tells you something, right? The Tedesco brothers, like I said, are on Long Island, and major study at the beach. They have had fascinating interviews as well on social media. Please watch them. They have special equipment where they're studying the orbs and the lights constantly appearing at Long Island beaches. they could only see some of them through their equipment, and this at one point they're looking at the equipment and there'd be a flash. They lose the object, being able to see it visually in their on the screen of their equipment, and each time it came back on the screen, it was or there was a flash and the object, you could only see it at that point in time. I'm sorry, I forget now exactly if it was on the screen or they could visually see it for a second when the when looking through the an eyepiece of the machinery. Anyway, the bottom line is it was getting closer each time it flashed. The light's getting closer to them, and at one point they fell to the ground on the beach, lost feeling in their legs for close to a minute. Crazy stuff. But they explain, um, engineering people will love this, that some of the objects are showing um, a red shift and a blue shift all at the same time. So it's coming towards you and going away from you at the same time. This energy, um, it just boggles the mind, the properties of these objects. And this is science. This is engineering. This is physics. It's these guys are no joke, and they explain what they're seeing. This is real. This is not just two people playing on the beach and look, oh, there's like a flying saucer, and well, I'm gonna go report it, and then I'm gonna get back to my fishing or something like that. They literally are studying this intentionally, and their report is published here on New Paradigm Institute. Okay, so that's it for today. I wanted to highly emphasize those two resources for learning about what's going on right now, and the entire topic in general. Thanks for watching, and if you appreciated this, please like and subscribe. I'm a baby infant podcaster, YouTuber. I'm learning, but the whole algorithm thing